Breslin, Town Manager of the Town of Dillon, and I'm here with Mayor Kevin Burns.
Howdy.
And we're going to give you the Town Council update from last night's meeting.
Yeah, it'll be November 18th for those who aren't watching day of a broadcast.
Yes, sorry, Tuesday, November 18th. We kicked off with a recap of last summer's events and, how things went. And
yeah, so that was led by our events manager, Matt Miano. Mm-hmm. And, he always puts together a great program of summer events, and we just like to do a recap. So we went over, the main things that the town takes care of are the Friday and Saturday night concerts, which we do in conjunction with Dillon Business Association, like Dillon Theater Company, our farmers market, and then our special town concerts, which included the Pink Floyd cover band and the Grateful Dead cover band this summer, along with a couple of other town concerts. Mm-hmm. We do other programming, town cleanup day. We do different kinds of like swing dancing lessons and stuff at the amphitheater during the
value-added things.
Yeah, kind of value-added stuff. Yeah, but those what I kind of listed off there are sort of the big ones, and we just like to see a breakdown every year. What are our costs? What are we taking in? Are we making sure that these are good, value for our citizens? And we've kind of I've been on council now for a couple of years, and we've seen every sort of report that Matt's doing a great job sort of minimizing costs and putting together some really cool programming. I said those big cover band concerts with the Pink Floyd and Grateful Dead bands, cover bands, for example, are kind of new in the last couple of years, and he's found a really good way to make them pretty minimal cost for the town of Dillon, and an awesome way to get folks up from Denver into town, to get to get residents out after a hectic 4th of July weekend, that kind of thing, and give them something to enjoy and appreciate down at the amphitheater. And so it was just overall just a tremendous review of a really great season, one that saw our visitors just going up and up and up throughout the season, saw our tax revenue go up and up and up, and a big part of that is that we offered some great programming for folks, and we had Matt did a fantastic job this last summer, and we look forward to what he's doing next summer.
Yes, there was growth. The year before there was one big concert. This past year there were two. Yeah. And we're looking to capitalize on those and possibly expand them in the future. So look forward to upcoming sessions. We'll discuss next year's strategy for the summer. We also went over our marketing plan.
Yeah, that was another discussion led by Matt. And he's one of the things that I think distinguishes the town of Dillon from maybe some other towns in Colorado is that we've invested a lot of time in our social networking, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We have a lot of followers on in those mediums, and they're really great kind of cutting edge ways to get folks information about what the town of Dillon's up to, from photography to list of events that we're doing to sort of important updates about what's going on in the town. Again, that's Matt Miano who spearheaded a lot of that, and his plan was really built around continuing the growth of some of those sort of social networking tools, mm-hmm. and then also looking at sprucing up some of the image of the town. We've done some great work in the past, sort of unifying the message of the town of Dillon. Developing some good logos, but every few years you just need to kind of spruce that stuff up, mm-hmm. and sort of look at what contemporary trends and aesthetics are, and we're going to be going into 2015 looking to sort of update a lot of that material. So. And
it's a good way to get information out that's not real costly to the town. Mm-hmm. We can invest some of our other marketing funds into print ads and television and newspapers, and so he has good, well-rounded mm-hmm. plan for that.
Yeah, and he showed some of the ads that we're going to be starting to run, and it's very, very cool, sort of image-heavy advertising, minimizing the text, looking very much like a lot of the sort of contemporary web design that you see out there, and I think really bringing it sort of in sync with a lot of sort of current sensibilities and kind of aesthetic sense of what we see out there a lot in sort of the hipper, trendier markets.
Yeah, well, and it seems like people want their information quickly. They don't want to spend a lot of time reading it, and so the old saying, "A picture's worth 1,000 words," is probably very true now.
Yep, absolutely.
So then we moved on to our screening ordinance that's presently on the books. We wanted to revisit that because it's quite it's a non-enforceable ordinance, and so we'd like to update these things periodically. And we brought it to council, and we took it to Planning and Zoning Commission, and
Yeah, so this was an issue that was brought up to council a little while back, and decided that we wanted to see what Planning and Zoning Commission recommended, and they were, what's currently on the books is a requirement that if you have a boat on your property, it has to be screened with foliage or some kind of fencing, and as you mentioned, it's frankly unenforceable. It's not something that we've enforced in the past. It's something that was expected of owners. I don't think it would be right to kind of retroactively force people to undertake those kinds of expenses. From an aesthetic standpoint, one thing that's been pointed out is where these things are screened, they don't necessarily look any better than just having like a nice boat out there in someone's property. It seemed like a major burden for our residents without a whole lot of benefits. So Planning and Zoning Commission seemed to see it that way. They recommended the repeal of that ordinance. They are looking at maybe recommending some language around beefing up our some sort of nuisance ordinance, seeing if there's some way to, the intent of that when that piece of code was put on the books was to try to essentially limit abandoned boats to having kind of junkyards in your yard, that sort of thing, and we're seeing if maybe there's a way to kind of continue that intent in some other manner through nuisance ordinance, maybe some sort of enforcement. But your boat has to be registered. You can't just have it kind of abandoned there for a decade. But that's in the exploratory phase right now. There's no specific recommendation at this time, but we are going to repeal the particular ordinance that requires the screening.
Right, and then we will move on to, we don't want junk, as Kevin said, we don't want junk laying around, we don't want tarps that are ripped. No. It's kind of blight on the community. So we're going to work on that, and we'll take public input on that, and we'll see where we go from there. Yeah. And then we moved on to, we've been working on getting a digital sign to replace our signs down on an enemy that are just more contemporary. And, signs that will catch people's eye and deliver a message, and that we can market what's going on in the town and stuff like that. And so we had to, digital signage wasn't really in our regs, and so the planning department has rewritten those to accommodate a sign that the town plans on installing in the springtime.
Yeah, and that's, this is an ongoing discussion. If you're a regular viewer, you've heard us talk about this issue before. I'll just say Ned West, particularly in our planning department, did a fantastic job, putting together some thoughtful rules and regulations to ensure that the signage that we put in isn't going to be too obtrusive to anybody. That's going to fit in, very, very nicely in the areas that we're installing them. That we conform with, with any requirements that CDOT has. That we're ensuring the safety of travelers along the highway, et cetera, et cetera. And I just think it was a, very, very thoughtful process going through, and just kind of excited to see it come up for us to vote on in council.
And the sign will fit in the existing structure that's down there, so there won't be a major reconstruction in that area down on an enemy. And we can also deliver, as we discussed before, the public safety message about roads and traffic, and we can get more information out to the folks that are up here. So
absolutely,
that'll be very helpful. We kind of concluded our work session with a discussion of our water rate study, which had been ongoing for months, and I had invited folks at our last update to come down for it, but we didn't have any takers. Yeah, so it wasn't a sellout.
Shocking if people didn't want to come down and listen to an extensive discussion about water and sewer rate study. So, this is another, as you mentioned, another kind of ongoing discussion item that we've had in previous meetings, and to kind of bring folks up to speed, if they don't remember, every 5 years the town's decided to undertake a water and sewer rate study, make sure that our fees and costs are kind of where they need to be, and make sure that we're meeting our existing costs, and then being able to plan for the future so that we don't have a huge bill that we can't pay at some point. And the news was really good. There was a lot of work done 5 years ago to make sure that the revenue streams for the water and water and sewer coming in at the right amounts, so that we're not having to spend money we don't have, or that we're not preparing for capital projects that we end up not being able to afford 10 or 15 years down the road. And there was really just some minor tweaks in terms of who pays what, and trying to kind of redevelop our tiered payment system, or tiered usage rates to be a little bit more fair. So some people are seeing some slight increases, and some people are seeing some slight decreases, but the overall net effect is zero. We're maintaining our existing cash flow.
Right. Well, it's pretty much revenue neutral. The town won't be taking in any more money. They just moved around how the payment will be, and this was an independent engineering firm that we hired through an RFP process, and they came back with very complimentary results about how stable our system is right now. So that was good news.
Yeah, and as I said, it was all minor, and they seem to think we're doing a great job. We just want to make sure that nobody's paying for water they're not using, or vice versa. So that was kind of the gist of that adjustment.
There also is embedded in that is a conservation effort on the part of when you have the three-tiered structure. As you pay more money when you move into the third tier, it makes people look at how they're using their water, and we all need to partner on this conservation effort. Yeah. And so the town is right out in front on that.
Obviously, as a mountain community, that's pretty important to us, and knowing that the state that we live in, where you don't always get as much water as you need, I just think it's sort of a moral obligation that we make sure we're doing our part. So it's nice to see us continuing those efforts, for sure.
Well, that kind of concluded what we went through during our work session.
I do want to make just a quick mention. Carrie McDonough presented her finance director's report, and we did see a 6% growth in our sales tax for September, which we were hoping that it was just going to essentially stay flat from the previous year. So that was tremendously exciting, and just another piece in sort of the upward trajectory that Dillon's economy's had over the last couple of years.
That's very true. Yes, we were actually, when we were working on the budgets earlier in the fall and late summer, we were hoping that revenues would stay flat because they were so good last year, and they actually went up 6%, as Kevin said. So that was good news.
Just wanted to highlight that little piece before we go into the regular session meeting.
Well, it's a regular session meeting was quite a bit shorter than the work session, and basically, Kevin, we just adopted several resolutions. One being the water and sewer rate study?
Yeah, what we just talked about in work session, those were sort of the final pieces of ongoing conversations. So we adopted the resolution for a water and sewer rate study, and then also for the digital signage. So those were kind of the two pieces. A nice quick meeting. It's always nice when it works out kind of cleanly that way.
The mayor's good at that.
And I think that was it.
Right? That pretty much was a wrap. It was a busy three and a half hours. So.
Yeah. Alrighty, well, thanks for watching, everyone.
Yep.